Good morning, students. Yesterday we had a discussion about two methods of electrification. In that, the first one was electrification by friction. Second one was electrification by conduction. In both of the methods, for the process of electrification, what we did is that either we removed electrons or added electrons, and that resulted into acquiring net non-zero charge on the body, and so the process called electrification. Let me quickly move for the remaining methods of electrification, and in that the first one is next one is electrification by induction. So before I go to that electrification by induction, just let me roughly make you to understand the meaning that we carry in the physics of the word induction. Roughly I say, whenever there are certain changes in the surrounding, those changes or those happenings makes the changes in order also. Say for example, I have a friend sitting together. All of them, like 5 friends are there. 4 of them they are studying. They have taken the books. They are doing their own work, whatever the work they are doing. Whereas I am sitting idle. How long? For certain time. But by looking into my surrounding, even I too got the feeling that I should study, I should also work like others, whatever are doing in my surrounding. So I'll say that feeling of I too, I got by the process I can call as induction. So I mean that because of surrounding, if anything is happening, I will call it as induction. With the simple and rough meaning, let me go ahead to study all the details about the process which we call electrification by induction. In this method, we take one uncharged body. Let me show that. And here I have this is the uncharged body what I have taken, and this uncharged body I need to make to stand on insulating support. This is a conducting body that I have taken, and what I have to do, I should make it to stand on insulating support. Why? I shall discuss as I progress. And here is that stand which I have made arrangement. This is a insulating stand. After doing this, after making that conducting body to stand on insulating support, I'll take one more I'll take one more body. I'll take one more body which is already charged. Say glass rod. And that glass rod which is already charged, I will bring in the vicinity of this uncharged body. Understand? In the vicinity, in the surrounding, not in contact with us. So this charged glass rod which I have got, charged glass rod, positively charged glass rod, I am bringing in the surrounding of this uncharged, not in contact, repeatedly I mentioned. I have glass rod brought close to the end B of this conductor, I can say. Now as soon as I do that, as soon as I bring this glass rod in the vicinity of this conductor, surrounding of conductor, I find one interesting thing there. And what is that? You will have the shuffling taking place there. Shuffling of particles, charged particles inside the body, what I have, conducting body. So I mean that free charges in this conductor, and you know, electrons are the free charges, because of attraction by the positive charges of this glass rod, will start moving towards the end B of conductor. Of course, already some are there, but those who are to the other side, where are they going to go? To the side B of the conductor. Why should they go to the side B? Because when they go here, they are attracted basically first by the positive charge, and they can go to that distance which is close to this attraction. Because of attraction, electrons from this conductor start moving towards the end B, and that will result side B or end B of this conductor becoming more and more negative. So electrons are getting accumulated on the side B, on the end B. What impact does it make to the rest part of the body? It's like something. I have some 20 chairs in the classroom. All those 20 chairs, students are sitting and they are distributed throughout. They're sitting on the chair. But all of a sudden, because of some attraction, they started to come to the desk. Like 1 has come, 2 has come, 3 has come. They are coming to the desk. They are coming to that place where they can have more attraction. And what would happen consequently then? You will have the chairs getting emptied. You will have there as empty chairs. Same thing will happen even in case of this conductor. When electrons start migrating towards end B because of this attraction, other end of that conductor, you will have vacancies left out, deficiency of electron, and that vacancies or deficiency of electron, what we call as a positive charges. So do I mean all the electrons have come from here? Not necessarily. Like see, electron from here comes here, hole is created. Electron from here will fill this hole, again hole is created. Electron from here will fill the hole is created. Consequently, you will have end A of the conductor becoming positive. See what has happened? As soon as I brought this charged glass rod in the vicinity of conductor AB, you have got charges getting separated. and B got negatively charged and A got positively charged. And I would better say that end of conductor which is close to the glass rod, close to the charge, taken charge in the body, which is the end of conductor close to glass rod B, will acquire opposite kind of charge to that of taken charge in the body. As at present I have taken glass rod positively charged, so opposite kind of charge I have got to the nearer end, negative charge I have got. Had I got ebonite rod here, negatively charged, I would have had this as a positive. Then what happens to get positive there? Because of negatively charged ebonite rod, electrons from here will get repelled like charges. And that repulsion will make electrons to go farther as possible. Because to reduce the repulsion, only the simple way, go away. That's the logic even we use in our day-to-day life. Any kind of repulsion, we go away. And that results into minimizing that repulsion. Same thing these electrons also will do. If I bring the ebonite rod, electrons from this portion will start moving towards the other end. And that will result into deficiency of electron, vacancies of electron, holes, positive charges you can say. So the end B in that case will become positively charged. Very important thing to be noted. In this process of electrification by induction, the end of conductor nearer to the taken charge body will always acquire opposite kind of charge. Whereas farther end, now in the present scenario, which is the farther end? Obviously B. What kind of charge do I have on the farther end? Same kind of charge, like charge you can say. So end A, which happens to be farther in the present case, has acquired positive charge. And what would have been end A in case of ebonite rod? Negative. I would have had a negative here. So this is the important thing to be noted. Now after this, my purpose is, my intention is to get the body charge. But right now if you ask me, is that charge? No. I would say just charges are separated there. Then what I have to do further? I should think of such a mechanism there, such an arrangement there, which will help me to disturb that delicate balance which I have. Charges have just got separated there. As such, net charge on this conductor is now also 0. I have to disturb that balance to have net non-zero charge, and that's the basic of electrification. So what we do then, in order to either remove or add electrons, I'll go with an arrangement called earthing or grounding. So what I have to do, I have to go for an arrangement called earthing or grounding. What is that? It's very common or household word you can say. If there is any problem in the electricity at your home, generally you talk, is that earthing properly done? Earthing madarannilla nodri. So what is that earthing basically then? One wire we take, one end of the wire we connect wherever we need earthing, another end of the wire we connect to the earth, ground. And what's the intention of doing so? Either to give electrons to earth or take electrons from earth. Mind that, due to a huge size of the earth, any number of electrons added to the earth or any number of electrons taken from the earth doesn't alter to the potential of earth. For practical purpose, potential of earth we take as a 0. As such, if you go in a deeper view or deeper aspect to have an insight about potential of earth, you can mention slightly negative. We shall discuss this some other day if the reference comes. Right now let me focus here. So what I am going to do, to add electrons or remove electrons, I will have to go for the process called earthing. And the earthing is to be done in this method to that conductor which is farther from the taken charged body. Here I have glass rod. Farther end is A. So I have to connect a wire to A and other end of that wire to the earth. Let me do that then. And here I have rod. So this is the process of earthing I do. Glass rod. I have got these charges separated. And as I mentioned, here I go with a process called earthing. So what did I do? On wire I took. Its one end I connected at A, farther end. Another end I connected at B. Another end I connected to ground. Near end is B, farther end is A. Soon after you do this, what happens is that electrons from earth will start moving towards the end A. Why should they go? Because at A you got attraction. At A you got a positive charge. And those positive charges will start attracting electrons from earth via this wire, you can say. And very quickly I would see that now. Electrons from earth moving toward the end A. What would happen then because of that? With the due course of this process, let's say one electron comes here and what I have got here? Empty chairs. Deficiency of electron. Holes I have. So one electron comes, occupies this sheet. Second electron comes, occupies this sheet. Feel that gap, vacancy. And so will happen with all the deficiencies, whatever you have got here. So by the process of earthing, I could see that all the vacancies over here are filled. All the deficiency, all the holes are being filled. I mean, I have added the electrons like that. And now, no longer I have got a positive charge here. The positive charge which I had over the end A, that I have removed. So what would have happened had I got this ebonite rod again? This would have been a positive charge. This would have been a negative charge. And in these negative charges are at a repulsion because of the ebonite here. And then what would have happened? These electrons would have gone to the earth. So earthing always do not mean only we take the electrons. Rather even electrons also can be given. For that we need to have a ebonite rod here. So the first step after earthing, what I have done? All these electrons have come here and neutralized I say the holes which I had here. The positive charges which I had over here. And once that happens, what I do is the next step. The earthing which I had made here, that earthing I'll remove. I'll cut the earthing. I'll remove the earthing. And what do I visualize then in that case? The positive charges which I had have got neutralized already. Now what I'm left out is with the electrons which I have here. So first I will remove the earthing and I will visualize the situation like this. And once that happens, once I do that, what I have to do is the further I will have to remove the glass rod also. When I remove that glass rod, what I see is this one. Glass rod is not there now. So the negative charge was held over here. Why? Because of attraction. When you remove that attraction itself, glass rod itself, what would happen? No longer they are held there now. No longer they will be at the end B. Rather, because of the mutual repulsion, they will get distributed now. And you see all those electrons now getting spread over that conductor. And now I can see the conductor which I had taken basically as an uncharged conductor. Now I have got it charged. And how could I do that? Of course, by adding the electrons or by removing the electrons. That's what is our basic. And now I can see by this method I have got the taken conductor as a negatively charged. And this method of electrification in which uncharged body is charged by bringing a charged body in the surrounding of it. If we have to put in words what you mean by electrification by induction, simple wording you can have. The process in which uncharged body is charged by bringing a charged body in its surrounding. And interestingly what I can see is that in this process, I took already charged body as a glass rod, which is positively charged, whereas I got that uncharged body as a negatively charged. Had I taken this as a ebonite rod, again the same discussion, ebonite negative, positive negative, electrons would have gone here and I would have seen this as a positive. As long as ebonite rod is there, when you remove ebonite rod, once again I would see those positive charges getting spread over the conductor. So I mean in that case conductor I would have got, with ebonite rod conductor I would have got positively charged. And point to be noted here, in this method uncharged body acquires opposite kind of charge to that of taken charged body. See, if I am asked to differentiate earlier method, I mean by conduction, with this method by induction, I have got certain highlighted differences. What are those? First of all, first thing, in conduction you had a contact between. In induction, there is no contact. In conduction, you had got uncharged body charged with same kind of charge. Glass rod brought in contact, this became a positive. Ebonite rod brought in contact, became a negative. Whereas here, glass rod I got negatively charged in this body. With ebonite rod, I would get this body as a positively charged. So I mean, I get in this method a charged body charged with opposite kind of charges. Important. Now one more important difference you can highlight, you got earthing here, you did not have earthing there. Even this you can mention. Now going ahead with further discussion, you may ask me, sir, is that any another way in this method where we can charge the bodies without earthing. Yes, we can do that also. In that method, alternate method, what we do, I just bring to your notice. Say for example, I have this conducting body. In the neighboring of this conductor, I am going to have an ebonite rod here now. Negatively charged ebonite rod. When I do this, what would happen? Nearer surface of this conductor will acquire positive charge because of attraction. Farther side of this conductor, will acquire negative charge. Right? And now to go ahead, after separation, I will have to either add or remove electrons, then only body is going to get charged. So in earlier situation, I had done the earthing. Now I say ask, is there any another way by the same method where without earthing you can do? Yes, you do have. So what you need to do here, you take one more uncharged conductor. And that uncharged conductor which you are taking, one more uncharged conductor, just bring in contact with this. This is uncharged, remember that is uncharged. Then what would happen? Why do these electrons have come over here? Because of repulsion, they have tried their level best to go as far as away possible. Now why did not they go further without this? Because there was no path or no way there. Now as soon as I bring this conductor in contact, what will happen? These electrons will start to move further. I mean they will go to the another conductor which you brought in contact. Of course, even this conductor which you have taken also need to be handled with insulating support or insulating handle. And I'll come to that point why I should have that. So then, when these electrons goes over here, all these electrons are removed from here. As soon as that happens, I'll just break the contact again. Of these two bodies, I'll just break the contact. And after breaking the contact, I'll take that ebonite rod away. And as soon as I do that, this body I will get positively charged. This body I have got positively charged. Whereas even interesting thing, even this body also I will have charged negatively. But remember, you may question me, sir, uncharged body gets opposite kind of charge to that I have taken. I had basically this one as a taken. This is supporting. If I don't want to go for earthing, this is for my supporting. One way I have got to remove those electrons or add the electrons. Got the point? So now, how would have been the situation had this been as a glass rod? Glass rod positive, negative, positive. You brought in contact. This is also conductor. Abundant of free electrons. These free electrons will go and fill this vacancy. And once that happens, I can remove this. I can break this contact. And once I do that, I can remove the glass rod also. Whatever the negative charge I have got here will get spread over. Even you can go with electrification by induction by this simple way also. So this is very important process what we call as electrification by induction. For theory exam generally 3 marks question they ask. Explain electrification by induction. So when you write that answer to that question, all these figures neatly, properly figures you will have to draw. Explaining about every figure, you can manage with that. Okay, anyhow, let me go ahead with one more like supplementary I call, because to understand certain basic things, even I need to mention that, and that is electrification by polarization. Of course, all the details of this process called polarization we will come as we go ahead in the electrostatic part. Now I'll just go with few of the fundamental things about this method, and generally by this method we get insulators charged temporarily, that too. This method we do not get bodies permanently charged. So what is that? Let me show you here. Say I have got this as the insulator, body I have got made up of atoms and molecules, and I think you might have studied about types of molecules, like from the perspective of their electric nature. In chemistry you might have studied probably polar and non-polar molecules. You know, in a molecule you got two or more than two atoms. Every atom has got positive charge, negative charge distributed. So whenever we happen to talk about molecule, we can assume as if whole positive charge of all the atom is focused at one center, one location. Such location where all positive charge of all the atoms is focused, you can call center of positive charge. Same with negative, center of negative charge. But depending upon the arrangement of atoms in that molecule, you may or may not have the two centers, I mean positive and negative centers, coinciding with each other. If the center coincides, I mean lies at the same place, you will have that molecule as a non-polar molecule. Of course, as I said, I'll come to this discussion as I go ahead in this chapter. If the centers are not coinciding, you can call it as a polar molecule. I think this is enough. So I have got this slab made up of, say, non-polar molecules. Beside this slab, I am going to bring one charged body. I have brought one charged body. Because of that, what would happen in the molecules of this slab? I'll have those centers, charge centers getting separated. Aste Allah. Even they will get aligned in a particular direction. They experience a torque. I'll talk about this also, because many things I am telling you that I'll tell you later. There are certain basics need to be learned first. Then I can come to that discussion. So I mean that in this lab, now the molecules which were polar earlier one becomes non-polar earlier one becomes polar, and they will get aligned in a particular direction. Few of them I will show here. These are the molecules what I am trying to show. And in this molecule, negatively charged center will face to this positively charged body because of attraction. Had this as a negative, I would have had this as a positive charge center. I have got positive charge center farther. I will have a negative charge center here. I will have a positive charge center. So as a whole, if I see, these will nullify the result line. And at the last, what I see now, face of this body, which is close to the charge, taken charged body, you would find getting negatively charged because this is positive. And farther face of the body, you will find getting positively charged. And this, like negatively charged phase, positively charged phase is going to be as long as you got this body, charged body in the surrounding. Once you take it away, again that earlier situation will come. No longer this you will have a negatively charged, no longer you will have this as a positively charged. Now as a result of this, now this basic I can make you to understand about the example which I had quoted in the introductory part of the chapter. I had mentioned that take a pen, rub with your dry hairs and take close to the piece of papers. By rubbing the pen, what are you doing? You are charging the pen. Suitable material like your pen and hairs are there. And such a charged pen you are taking close to piece of paper. This is a charged pen. Let me call it as something positively charged. It is like a glass rod. It is. Then what would happen? Paper is an insulator. In insulator, I told you what actually happens. Polarization will take place. And if center of positive charge and center of negative charge will get separated, a straight line alignment also will happen. So because of that, I will see the space of the paper becoming negatively charged, nearer face negatively charged, farther face positively charged, and as a result of negative charge on the nearer surface, you will see paper getting attracted towards the glass rod or towards the pen, you can say. So whatever charge you got, I have taken like glass rod rubbed with my hairs and I am taking close to the piece of paper. So we notice that there is attraction. Why that attraction is? Because of this process. And mind that by this method we can charge the bodies temporarily. An important thing, neither we have added nor we have removed, just temporarily molecules have become polar, and that is getting resulted into like charged for temporary time as long as this is there. So these are methods by which we can electrify the bodies, charge the bodies, and all these methods what we call as methods of electrification. So let's go ahead with further things after this. Okay, so after dealing with the basics of electrification, let me just have one simple discussion. Say for example, you have got two bodies and you would like to verify whether these two bodies are charged or not. For that, what will you do? You will use your basic knowledge about charge. What I mean? I know that like charges will repel each other and unlike charges will attract each other. So what I need to do then to test these bodies are charged or not? I'll just take them closer. If I see that these two bodies are repelling each other, definitely and confidently I will say they are charged and charge on them are of like type. Charge on them are of same type. They are like charges. So when I come across repulsion, could be positive, could be negative also. At the same time, on the other hand, If I see the bodies are getting attracted, if I see the bodies are getting attracted, now can I mention that both of them are charged? Point to think. So what's my point? If I see that these are getting attracted, can I claim that both of them are charged? Definitely no. Important. If I see the attraction, confidently I cannot say both of them are charged. It may happen like this also, as I quoted in that example. Say I have this as a piece of paper and a glass rod I have got. See, glass rod is positively charged. And when I brought like to my two bodies, these are the two bodies, glass rod and piece of paper. Then what do I find? Which I mentioned here. You will have a polarization of the molecules of the paper, and that polarization will result into nearer face of the paper to the rod becoming negative, farther face of the paper becoming positive. And as a result of this, because of this negative charge in the nearer face, I would see that paper is getting attracted towards the glass rod. Understand? Remember, was the paper charged? No. I had only glass rod. I had only glass rod charged. Then to be remembered here, whenever I have to test this, what is that test? I have to confirm are both of them charged. I never be dependent on attraction. Because it's not reliable. That test is not reliable. Why? Because even one charge and another uncharged will have attraction. So, to be remembered, whenever one has to confirm that both the bodies given are charged, you need to be dependent on a repulsion. So we mention that repulsion is the sure test to confirm the bodies are charged. You can never have repulsion with one body is charged and another uncharged. You will have repulsion only in case if both of them are charged. So to be remembered. Whereas to test whether the body is charged or not, even we have a device which we call as gold leaf electroscope. To confirm whether the bodies are charged or not, I have a device called gold leaf electroscope. So let me just bring to your notice some basics about this device. You have got one glass vessel of this type. Here you have got a rod made up of conductor, of course gold material you can say. Over here conducting a disc we fix and a disc I have made up of conductor, and to the other side I have got two thin leaves of the same material, and the material is gold. I have got leaves here, so leaf made up of gold and used to test whether charge is there or not? Electroscope. So this is the simple arrangement of gold leaf electroscope. Now let me go ahead. What actually or how does this work? So what I do is that the body which need to be confirmed whether it is charged or not. Say glass rod again. Such body to be confirmed, I'll just bring in contact with the disc which I have got here. Say this is charged body which I have brought in contact with the disc there. What would happen? Conducting, this disc is conducting, abundant of free electrons you have got. So as soon as this positively charged glass rod you bring in contact here, electrons from this disc will start moving towards the glass rod. Like one electron goes from here, vacancy is created. That vacancy is been filled by another electron, vacancy is created, filled by another electron, vacancy is created, filled by another electron, vacancy is created, and in this way, I would see that with the due course of time, electrons goes to the glass rod and leaving behind holes or vacancies or positive charges. And those positive charges which are coming over there because of transfer of electron, I would see getting accumulated to the place which is far or farther from glass rod. This is a complete portion. Farther place is this one. So what would happen? Those two leaves of this instrument will acquire positive charge as the glass rod I have taken. And as a result of this, initially the leaves which were very close, as soon as you touch the glass rod to the disc, you would see the leaves are getting diverged. You find leaves getting diverged. Why? Because they have got same kind of charge. And you all know like charges will repel each other. That repulsion will result into diverging of the leaves which you have in the electroscope. So to be consolidated, what I can say now, if I just make a contact of the body to be tested, and by doing so, if I see that the leaves of the electroscope are getting diverged, I would say that the body which I am given, which is given to me, is charged body. If it was the ebonite rod, negative charge, this negative charge would have moved to the conductor because that is excess negative charge, repulsion, among them repulsion. So they were waiting to get a place to go. So they will come here. Those electrons will go farther again. So leaves you will have negatively charged, and negatively charged leaves will result into divergence. So our activity is now focus over here. What I am going to see in this instrument, whether they are diverging or not. If they are diverging, I will say this body is a charged body. So the obviously question that I will have in my mind, sir, how should I understand whether this is a positively charged or negatively charged? For that, I have to do one simple thing. What is that? I would have this disc already charged. I will have to have these leaves already charged. So they are positively charged already. Because of that positive charge, I have seen that leaves have diverged. And then after this, I will bring a ebonite rod here. So already leaves are diverged. I will bring a ebonite rod here. What's the charge on ebonite rod? Negative. So we know that. So I bring negatively charged in contact here. So what would happen? Because of excess, those electrons will come over here, and these electrons consequently will come and fill this vacancy. So if you bring ebonite rod in contact here, positive charge on the leaves will, some amount of positive charge on the leaves will get neutralized. The leaves were diverged up to this extent. As soon as you brought ebonite rod in contact with the disc, negatively charged rod, you could see that the divergence which was more has become less. So what does that indicate? What does that indicate? The rod or the body which I have brought in contact with the disc, if the divergence decreases, must be of opposite kind of charge. I have a prior information that these leaves are positively charged. With that prior information, divergence becoming less, this should be negatively. Say instead of I take a glass rod again, they are already charged. As the positive charges you have, when you bring in glass rod in contact, this will become more positive. Already positive or not? Now because of contact of glass rod becomes more positive, you can say, and the divergence which I had this much only, now that divergence will become more. So divergence of the leaves becoming more, I can claim that this must be positively charged. So this instrument not only we can use to test whether the bodies are charged or not, but even you can also use it to understand what kind of charge you have got on the body. So this is an additional about sure test is a repulsion, and for the purpose of testing we make use of gold leaf electroscope. Going ahead, let's move to the important part of this chapter. In the very beginning, while discussing about properties of charges, we had a discussion about one of the important property as like charges repel each other, unlike charges attract each other. So from the property, what we could get is only about the nature of force, either attractive or repulsive. And the question is on. Okay, attraction is there, repulsion is there, okay. But I may have a question that how much is that attractive force or repulsive force? I do know that from the property between two charges there will be either force of attraction or repulsion. Then naturally I will have the question in my mind, how much is that force? And answer to this how much has been given by one fundamental law in electrostatic which was put forward by scientist Charles Coulomb. And this fundamental law which help us to get the force between charges, we study in electrostatic, we study the law as Coulomb's law. So let's go ahead with Coulomb's law in electrostatic. Coulomb's law has been stated in case of, of course, by trial and error method experimentally, he has come to the conclusion, and those conclusion itself we refer as a Coulomb's law. This law is basically applicable for the charge which we call as a point charge. Important thing. And most of us always will be confused about what is point charge. Is it that the magnitude of charge which makes it point? Like say, I have 10 coulomb of charge, 2 coulomb of charge, 3 coulomb of charge. Which of these I should call as a point charge? It is not the magnitude of the charge which makes it as a point charge. Then what is that? Under what condition do I call that charge as a point charge? One simple thing. Whenever size of the body on which charge any amount of charge given is present, if the size of that body is of negligible dimension, got the point? Size of the body, if it is of negligible dimension, such a charge on such bodies to be referred as point charge. So I'll have that word using in the law. Basically this law helps us to calculate the force between point charges. Now the question is, if the charge is not point, what to do? We shall see. So I should mention that point charge is the one, if it is any amount of charge, if it is present on a body of negligible dimension, such charge to be called as a point charge. Now with this simple information about point charge, let's go ahead to understand Coulomb's law. So what Coulomb did experimentally, he took 2 point charges. So one charge is, I'll represent as a Q1, another charge I'll represent as a Q2, and these two charges Q1 and Q2 I have got in the air separated by distance r. Then to the observation of Coulomb, he noticed that the force of attraction or repulsion, when will I have attraction between these two charges? If they are unlike. So I mean, if Q1 is positive, Q2 is negative. Or I have Q1 negative, Q2 is a positive, I will have attraction. And when will I have repulsion? If Q1 is positive, Q2 is also positive. Or Q1 is negative, Q2 is also negative, I will have repulsion. Coulomb found that this force of attraction or repulsion is directly proportional to magnitude of these two charges. And irrespective of nature, only magnitude, whether what is the magnitude of Q1 and Q2, Coulomb had a different trials on the trial and error method. He took Q1 more, Q2 more, calculated the force. He took Q1 less, Q2 less, calculated the force. He took Q1 more, Q2 less, calculated the force with the different trials. What was his observation? The force of attraction or repulsion between these two charges, Coulomb found that is directly proportional to product of magnitude of those two charges. More the product, more is the force. Less is the product, less is the force. He further noticed that the force of attraction or repulsion is also dependent on separation between two charges. And again with the trial and error method, keeping at certain distance, again altering that, making more or less, he noticed that force of attraction or repulsion is inversely proportional to square of distance between those two charges. I think with this statement you might have realized now. This law is same as to that of which you studied in the gravitation also. I mean about a gravitational force I am talking. The force of attraction between two masses is directly to the product of the two masses and inversely to the square of distance. Okay, anyhow, same statement you have got. So what did I notice now? Force of attraction or repulsion is directly to the product of magnitude, inversely to the square of magnitude you can write. So these two observations combinedly I write, and I write it as proportional to Q1 Q2 by R square. So I have got force, this equation written in this fashion. And you know, whenever while learning equations in physics, any equation we prefer to have with equal to sign. And the procedure of going from proportionality to equal to, you know the simple method. What you do when you want to replace proportionality by equal to, you will have a constant accompanied with equal to, and same thing I have to do here. So I can write this as force of attraction or repulsion, and even you call it as a Coulombic force, electrostatic force or Coulombic force. So Coulombic is the one which exists between two charges. Electrostatic is the one which you have calculated for the charges being at rest. So the electrostatic force or Coulombic force now I have got given by the equation constant. I will write first constant, later on I will introduce that, into Q1 Q2 by R square. So this proportionality constant I have got. So what is the equation that I have now? F equal to constant into Q1 Q2 by R square. When the charges were in the air or vacuum, the proportionality constant was calculated experimentally, and it was found that the proportionality constant, I'll represent like this kind of K, proportionality constant K, was found equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 calculated experimentally. So how much is the proportionality constant? 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. Now while writing that experimentally calculated value of the constant, I have certain terms coming over there. Like a 4 is a number you all know. Pi is again a constant which is familiar to you all. The only the new constant which has come over here is epsilon 0, which is called absolute permittivity. So this is the new. Whenever you deal parameter which decides whether the force between charges is going to be more or less, been decided by one parameter of the media in which they are present. So what my point? Whether the interaction between charges is going to be less or more, that is being decided by one parameter of the media called permittivity. See, the word permittivity itself will reveal something what it does. I would put in word like this. Permittivity is ability of that media to allow or to permit for the interaction. Ability of the media, or up to what extent it can permit for interaction, is called permittivity. And in case of air or vacuum, we have added a word as absolute. So permittivity of free space or vacuum is called absolute permittivity. Our focus is here, permittivity. So what my point? What is that? Ability of the given media to allow allow interaction between charges is called permittivity. In case of air or vacuum, as I mentioned, absolute permittivity I have called and represented as a epsilon naught. Only permittivity epsilon. Whenever naught comes, absolute permittivity. And for your kind information, absolute permittivity is equal to 8.854 10 to the power minus 12. Unit of this I will tell you further, because I have to introduce you with the unit of charge also. Unit we shall discuss. So for the today we need to stop. Tomorrow we will continue to talk more about unit of permittivity, unit of charge and many more things in connection with Coulomb's law. Certain basic features of Coulombic force which we can notice, certain basic features of Coulomb's law. We shall discuss all these things in the next class. So till then, goodbye. Sound